Daily Devotion with Pastor Balla for July 22nd, 2020 from 1 Samuel chapter 31, Saul's last battle. This was the battle that David was supposed to be at on the Philistine side, so to speak, being Achish's bodyguard. But the commander of the Philistines did not want David and the rest of the Hebrews to be fighting on their side, so they sent David home. So now let's find out what happens in the battle. Verse 1. Now the Philistines were fighting against Israel, and the men of Israel fled before the Philistines and fell slain on Mount Gilboa. And the Philistines overtook Saul and his sons. And the Philistines struck down Jonathan and Abinadab and Malchishua, the sons of Saul. The battle was not going well for Saul. He just lost his three sons. Verse 3, the battle pressed hard against Saul, and the archers found him, and he was badly wounded by the archers. Then Saul said to his armor-bearer, draw your sword and thrust me through with it, lest these uncircumcised come and thrust me through and mistreat me. But his armor-bearer would not, for he feared greatly. Therefore Saul took his own sword and fell upon it. After Saul was injured, he feared the Philistines, and he called them uncircumcised. That's interesting. Why? Well, being uncircumcised meaning you're not part of the children of God. Circumcision was a promise, and it was a physical sign of belonging. However, Saul gave up believing and trusting in God. He may have been circumcised, but from God's point of view, he was in the same camp as the Philistines, not believing and trusting in God. A little bit of skin doesn't matter. It's faith that trusts in the promises of God. That's what God is looking for. But we continue on, verse 8. The next day when the Philistines came to strip the slain, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. So they cut off his head and stripped off his armor and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to carry the good news to the house of their idols and to the people. The news of Saul's death and the death of his sons traveled fast. Verse 11. But when the inhabitants of Jabesh Gilead heard what the Philistines had done to Saul, all the valiant men arose and went all night and took the body of Saul and the bodies of his sons from the wall of Bethshan. And they came to Jabesh and burned them there. And they took their bones and buried them under the tamarisk tree in Jabesh and fasted 7 days. While the Philistines did not care about the body of Saul and his sons, the people of Israel did. Christians realize that the body is part of God's creation, not to be desecrated, but respected as part of God's gift to us. Sure, when we get to heaven, we will have a new spiritual glorified body, but that doesn't mean we should abuse and desecrate the body that God has given to us now. It is truly a gift from God. So join me again tomorrow as David now hears of the death of Saul. God's peace and many blessings be with you. Thank you for watching, and please share this video with others. If you have enjoyed these daily devotions, please consider making a donation to Peace Lutheran Church, 24024 West Main Street, Plainfield, Illinois, 60544. Thank you again for watching.